Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Hamzah. Assalamualaikum, very good morning everyone. I'm Khalidah from School of Biological Sciences. I'm not sure whether this presentation is supposedly to be in English or in Bahasa Melayu. I hope that we all of this Malaysians, and because if we do have international participants, I have to keep it all in English, but otherwise I think I can mix a little bit Bahasa Melayu and English. I think that's give us more how to say it, interactive communication, I would say. All right. First of all, thank you very much, Bijim. Thank you for giving me a trust again this year to share some of my experience with all the colleagues here. I'm pretty sure that all the attendants here have much more experience than me, because in sense of service, I think a lot of people that attend these webinars today have served the community and the university for a longer period than I am. So thank you, Bijim, for giving me the opportunity to actually get involved with the community, and also other institute in university also give me the opportunity to start my work with the community. First of all, just to share with everyone here, what I'm going to share today is not something, or what we say, I'm not teaching, I'm not telling you what to do. This is what we would like to share, but what BG would like to share best practices that has been done by a lot of researchers that engage with the community and industry and with other university to serve their purpose, to improve, to empower our community. So there are so many ways, there are so many mechanisms how to approach, how to get involved with the community. So what I'm sharing today is just partly of many ways. All right, so feel free to give opinion, feel free to share in the chat box, or we can interact later on how your experience before. Okay, so I think without further ado, I would like to share my slide presentation so that we can proceed with our talk today. All right. Now, for today's talk, it's about identifying strategic alliance and establishing effective engagement. For your information, there are four phases in community university engagement. So my part is the first phase of it, which is identify the strategic alliance and establish the effective engagement. All right. Having the sustainable development goal with the recent development actually helps a lot how we want to direct our work or our expertise, how we want to get involved with the community. There are like 17 sustainable development goals that everyone can actually choose. Some of you can look into no poverty, zero hunger, quality education. What else that we can look into? There are so many options. I think having that these 17 goals sort of like guide us a little bit to identify with which community that we would like to get involved with. I give an example, like in my case, because I'm working with aquaculture. I have aquaculture background, so I'm looking into no poverty, zero hunger, and life below water. That's for example. I think because we can relate to that. Like my purpose of my work is I want to improve aquaculture industry, which is in relation to aquaculture activity in Malaysia that being operated by small-scale farmers. So when we talk about small-scale farmers, we know that they don't have big capital, they work with small amount of money, and with limited facilities, sometimes, you know, they don't have proper income. So these are the small farmers, which is we are looking into, you know, minimizing poverty, meaning that we want to improve their income, we want to generate more income. And in the same time, whenever that we work with the community with less, you know, facilities, technology, we also provide food on their plate. There's a lot of things that related to our research that we can get involved. And my research also get involved with life below water, because to improve aquaculture technology, meaning that I'm working on how to improve or minimize the pollution created by the aquaculture industry, mitigating the, you know, all the problems, whether it's invasive species or water quality. So that sustainable development goals actually helps me and some other colleagues to direct, to look at like what we want to serve. But most importantly, for all the people that friends and colleagues here, what matters is what's inside you. What is your intention? You can start with your research, or you can start with what you want to solve within the society. I always say to myself that what is my true north? What actually the purpose that I wanted to do this? Why I'm here? Why am I at the university in the first place? Apart, yes, from for making money, of course, everyone here like need jobs. What can I do to improve the society? And how actually I get involved with the community. So at this point, I would like to thank my previous supervisor when I did my master's, Dr. Khalidah. She was from USM and then get transferred to USIM. Now she retired. She is the first person who actually introduced me to community engagement. Back then, we don't have such as community engagement. It's more like having courses with the community. And during that time, I was still undergrad, and then I did my master's. I observed how she actually conducted the courses and what actually triggered or initiate her to do that kind of job, to do that kind of work. How actually she get involved. And then I get involved with the community and, you know, learn a few things here and there. And then I start to realize that our community need more. And then when I came back to start with VSM, again, I met another figure that actually put all-heartedly into the community. That is Dr. Hakimi. Back then, he was Prof. Hakimi from TI School. He showed me how we can actually interact with the community. And by having these sustainable development goals, it will direct us, like how can we do that? You know, we can look into all these things and we can relate to that. And probably to make this thing more interactive, perhaps with the participant now, I would like you to at least pick 2 sustainable development goals. You can write down on the chat box, or we can write down somewhere that we can come back to this aim later on, because we have a bit of exercise to work with. Okay, just with your expertise now, what can you serve? Which goal that you can do to help the community? Now, this is the 4-phase engagement that I'm talking about, like best sharing best practices by BGIM. All right, there are 4 phases, which is the collaboration, that what we are doing now, identifying and establishing the collaboration. And then we need to identify the project. The third one is development, where we developed the whole structure. And then the very last part is monitoring. And all these actually serve or what we call in line with our institution's agenda, national, and so does the SDG that I'm talking about. And within all this four-phase engagement, we emphasize, we encourage social innovation, multidisciplinary approach, and sustainability. Well, at this point, you may not be able to see what does social innovation does in this type of engagement. It's very important that to understand that for us, all of the researchers that want to engage with the community, we have to look into multidisciplinary. We have to look cross-disciplinary. We need to, what we call, collaborate with people, because we cannot stand alone to help the community. And another important element is sustainability. Sustainability comes in many forms. It has to come in the sustainability of the improved condition, meaning that if from none to presence, meaning that we want the presence of the good things continues. If low to increase, we want it continues at that level or better. Or if about the financial status, it not just stagnant, meaning that it's continue to grow. So that's the element, because it is different between social service and community engagement. It's very, very important to distinguish between these two. These two, community service is just like one-off activity. You just go to one place, like old folks home, you just clean the house, and that's it. You do the job. Or you go to some building, you paint it up, that's it. Whereas community engagement, you put a system, you construct a system, a plan, and you make it what we call, you synergize the interaction, the engagement among the stakeholder, and all the stakeholder has dynamic relationship, play their roles. It's just not like one party giving and then the other party is receiving. It's all parties play their roles in their own respective function. So it's very important to see this difference between community service and community engagement. There are key elements in community engagement that we have to be ready to be student. We're not teacher. That's one thing that we have to understand, or we need to, always bear in mind that to contribute with the community, there are different background than us, that we are now from the same working environment. We, at least people who get into the job, have same level of education. You pass at the level, so probably at same point, like you can communicate at same par. But working with the community, they have diverse background, various experience, that I would say tremendous experience, hands-on experience. In fact, some of them, I would say, have done more research than we did. For example, like me, in aquaculture, I am just like a toddler in the industry. And who am I to tell those people that are actually run their aquaculture farm for more than 20 years? Doesn't matter if they're not running it appropriately or whatsoever, but they have that experience like far than I am. You see, they get experience from culturing the fish, and then selling the fish, and how they manage it in times of drought, when there's no water, and in time where they have issue with certain condition. So in sense of experience, so to get involved with the community, we need to be ready to be student and to share. So there are 4 things that we need to learn, or to know, that we have to be ready to learn. And second thing is, we need to be ready to unlearn, meaning that the one that we learned before doesn't mean it can be applied to the community. I can tell you, for example, that I give you examples in aquaculture, because that's what I'm doing. I know certain, practice which is, harmful to the environment and not very efficient. But then the farmers tell me like, no, you cannot do this because of this is very costly. We have better way to do it. See, we have the same principle, but they have better way in sense of cost. Mine probably good in sense of the efficiency, but in the industry or to run the business, every single cent is important. So they meant to reduce the cost. So I unlearn from whatever that I had before, and I relearn new things from them. So it's very important to relearn. We can't always have these feelings that I know better than you are. You see, so this always must be in that dynamic situation. And we also have to be ready that we co-learn. We need to know that the fact that at one time or during our process that engaging with the community, we learn together, we develop, we found new things. So these are the things that it is very important for us to have that in our heart, in our mind. Because whenever that I approach with the community, this is what I'm sharing with you. I never put them lower than me, like lower, okay, because they are not lower than us, okay. And I never put them higher up than me, because if they are higher up than me, they wouldn't need me, right? So I always put them at same level, where my heart is. Because with that's the case, we always see everything as opportunity to make things better. We always see issue as an opportunity to improve, and we always communicate well, you see. So whenever that we put all our stakeholder at the same level as we are, we are not creating what we call awkward situation or unpleasant situation. Like for example, again, beg my pardon if I use a lot of my experience in this situation, because this is what I did. And yeah, whenever that I work with local farmers, some of them may not have degree, may not have diploma. So they feel really intimidated to approach lecturer or researcher from university, because they thought that, will they help us? Will they come and actually spend time with us? Or will they engage a fruitful discussion with us? So, in my case, I always make sure that that gap disrupted, or I reduce the gap. I wouldn't want to have that wall, separating me and the community. So meaning that, in other words, we have to get involved. We have to, be humble and approach them. So community engagement required a lot of energy, a lot of effort, time consuming. So these are the things. So when we reduce the gap and we destroy that division or wall, we are ready for this, to learn, to unlearn, to relearn, and to co-learn is very important. So how are we going to identify strategic alliance? All right. If we already, ready our heart for that, you see, like we find our purpose, we find our true north, or in Japanese, ikigai, and we already, straighten our niat. Okay, we know what we want to do. So, but now, how are we going to know which community that we need to help? Like, this is not everyone cup of tea and not everyone forte. Like not everyone has good interpersonal skill to actually go and talk. Like me, example, I have issue with communicating with people. I can communicate with people that I feel comfortable, but not everyone. But then, as I said, like when I was, introduced with the community engagement by Dr. Roshada during like young age, I start to build like how to communicate. First, in our situation, we have to ask in our context, like what can we contribute? Can we contribute that much? I mean, like huge, or can we contribute at small portion? Can we be the core of the contribution, or can we be the supportive, element of the contribution? It is important for us to know that in community engagement, every aspect is important. Every aspect is significant. There's no such thing as like, oh, my role is not that important as someone, my function is not that relevant. No. In community engagement later on, I'll share with you how each of you, if you have that element to contribute, you can contribute. All right, that what value we are talking about. We are looking, you can be the person who what we call strategists, looking into the strategy like businesses, okay, and like communicating with the customers. For those who are in business, in management, customers can be also in service. There are so many things that people these are the intangible. I start with the intangible because often people say like it's very easy for science to do community engagement, but not with the social sciences of education. I would say no, it has equal opportunity. All right. And the value that you can contribute can be in if for the tangible is very easy. Like Dr. Zul Mustafa, he has the experts on ternakan stingless bee. And some of other experts, they have a different, skills or different, value to promote. In my case, I promote fish nutrition, sustainable aquaculture, and how to improve, water quality, things like that. And each of these will actually direct us, like in which, in what community that we need to contribute. And same with the education. There are so many things in education that we can actually contribute to the community. Sign language is one of the things that our community really need. What else that actually we can contribute in our community? One of the community program, community engagement that I would like to bring attention for the participants here, probably among many participants here, one or two might get involved. In Australia, they have this starter program when, people don't really look into that kind of things, but they train, they coach people who has speech problem. So, these are the things that perhaps, another task for the participant today to think about what value you can get involved or you can provide to the community or to serve the community, or if you didn't have really certain things to offer, what type of problem that you can solve or you can provide solution, especially in type of services. Okay, these are the things. Okay, sometimes you have to create the scenario. You need to see the scenario, then only you can say, oh yeah, I can contribute on that. You see, so these two approach are different things. One, that you have something that you want to offer. The other one, that you don't really have something to offer, but if someone gives you problem, you can actually solve it. All right. So this is how we're going to identify the first part, that is strategic alliance. And once we identify that, like, we look into ourselves, then we need to, how to say, integrate all our senses. I call this is our senses that Allah gave us to us for us to use, not only for, things like on daily basis, but also, which is of course, community engagement, also something that we can apply with it. You use our ears to listen, right? We need to listen. We can't be the person who talk. Over here, I didn't put talk because what we need is to listen to their problem. All right, we are not descriptive, okay? What we call prescribed. No, we need to listen to them and tell us what actually happening. All right. This is important to gather information, what we call baseline. Same like in science, in research. I would say like in research in general, not necessarily in science. We are setting the baseline. So the first is to listen what actually that the community need or even the society needs. And then the next thing is to observe. When they tell us something, that's one issue. In the same time, we have to observe too, because, put it this way, like when you listen to a story, you listen to people, what the story they're telling, but seeing the facial impression, the body language, or observe the situation will tell you different things. So same in this identifying strategic alliance. Whenever the community or the society come to us with a certain situation, yes, we listen to them, and in the same time, we observe. Is this how it is, or it required a bit more attention, or it actually something that you can easily overcome or solve, things like that. So it's very important to put our observation skill into these things. All right, and then we need to understand their situation. Like, for example, like working with small scale farmers, we can provide them with a lot of solution, but what is the fundamental issue that actually are underpinning the problem? So that's the thing, that we need to understand their situation. And then we need to analyze the situation, how far that we can actually contribute. And if we put all this together, we need, when we put all this thing together, then only we can identify. All right, when we work with communities, we don't want, no, but I didn't say we don't want. We don't provide them everything. We engage with them. So meaning that we're not telling them how to solve the problem. All right. As I said before, like solving certain issue in aquaculture, we can give them the highest technology, but does it, or will it be practical for them? Or also, what actually do they need? Do they need the technology, or they need to change the mindset? There are two things that we need to identify and need to analyze. Often, if the community come to us, they need a solution for the problem, right? But there are also some issue underlying that we need to observe and identify too, because it's all interrelated. And once we identify, we need to establish effective engagement. This is the hardest part for me. First, like, yes, to identify is one thing. Establishing effective engagement really require commitment, because you need to communicate with the community continuously and efficiently, and you need to interact with them and get involved, and also sharing. All these come in phase. It doesn't come all together. This is from my experience, because it has different level of engagement, because we are looking to the effective engagement. We can start with community, like, you know, approaching the community or the society, you know, communicate by telling, like, you know, just like when we meet new people, telling them, okay, this is who I am, I'm looking forward to this. We just, you know, people can reach us or we can reach them. In my case, I reach the community by looking at their webpage, like pertubuhan peladang, like, you know, things like that. I communicate with them. Some, the community communicate with you via all this social media. Like I would say, like Dr. Zulkifli, yes, he has his webpage that, you know, people communicate on his webpage, on his social media webpage. And some of the, you know, researcher also has their own webpage that people come and look for, you know, their expertise, right? And then that simple communication, the interaction is the next level of it, when we start to, you know, have that deeper connection. We have a bit more to know about, you know, community work, and community feel a bit comfortable with you to tell them, oh, this is what we want to solve, or this is what we try to develop. They have trust with you. They think that they can work with you, and that they can actually, you know, be frank and truthful of what they're doing. Because in certain work, sometimes things get involved with privacy, with a lot of sensitivity, all right? And interactions come at different level before you start to get involved. Once we have that, and when we can get involved with them, and they feel like we are one, and then the deeper thoughts start to get exchanged and sharing the knowledge. And then, you know, they tell you, they feel comfortable to tell you, doctor, this is not good way to do it, perhaps I can share with you, you know, some of my secret recipe of doing this, you know. So this is the level of establishing effective engagement. And must remember, everyone, I think at least should remember, that community engagement is about community. It's not about us. We are not the star to shine. It's about the community. You see, how we create that communication, interact with the community, and all this is because of, we want to get involved with the community. We want to be part of the community, whether to empower the society, to improve their economic status, or to make changes. And talking about social media and interactions, okay, there are two component or element that I would say play huge roles in engaging with the community. One is CE platform, in our case, BGIM. It's very important. And second one is self-initiative. Okay, I start with self-initiative because, it's easy for some people who actually have that, heart to do the work. They initiate, like Dr. Zul, Dr. Hakimi, so many people's, like, they know their purpose, they want to contribute, they go straight to the community. However, that a lot of us, we do not know how to get involved with the community. We just do not know where to start, what to do, who to approach, what kind of, discussion that we need to make. So it's very important to have the platform like BGM. I could not thank BGM and Tuan Sai enough for providing me that environment. I would say BGM create an ecosystem to interact, to get connected with the community, as well as with the researcher, not just at USM, but different institutes, and with the government sectors and industries. So it's very important because the platform will officialize, or will make it, will formalize everything, like, and it will put you in a perspective that how far you can contribute, how much you can contribute, and you don't have to do things on your own. because often that people get scared because what scares them most is that they have to do everything on their own. Well, for small project like what I did, of course, I don't need to have manager. Like, I'm working with small scale farmers, but for works like Dr. Zul Mustafa, he needs a manager, like what Bijim been doing, organizing all his project. So it's very important to have the platform to make things more structured, systematic, and organized. And also it become a center where people with the same heart, with the same intention, come together so that people can contribute. I do learn a lot from the platform, from BGM, like how to get involved, how to actually, run the project. And I'm still learning. I'm still like, finding new things every time whenever I attended a meeting with BGM or, working with them or communicate with their staff. They have tremendous and awesome, environment staff. I mean, like they have a very good team to work with. They're very supportive, and because as I said, they have the same intention, so they can direct you, and they will just tell you the moment you come to them, say that this is what I can do. Whenever they have project, something that related to that, they will engage you because they are not the one who has self-interest. What important is the community. So they put things in that perspective. Whereas self-initiative, you need to be really strong. Like you need to have like mentally and mentally prepared, mentally strong and emotionally strong, because everything you have to do on your own. You have to juggle everything. So to get involved with social media, CE platform also can help you out, like what we are doing today. They help to promote, they help to get, disseminate all the information, and the interaction occur within the platform. But if you have really strong desire to do on your own, go ahead, create your own web page, get involved, interact with the society and things like that on your own. Because I do know some researcher like really contribute to the society via their initiative. So this is what BGM is doing. Like for instance, like for this innovate catfish product. So BGM has this project, a big project. So they connect all the researchers in that project. The contribution of each, section does not, like, how to say, overpowering each other, because the farmers come to them with certain issue, like say the farmers, they have ponds and they want to, sell their catfish, and they have a lot of issue. So BG put this in perspective, not just from the beginning of the, breeding the fish, organizing the feeding, but also get involved in processing the fish, starting from the harvesting and making like ready food and even marketing. So this is one of the example of the project. This is another one, and this is one of successful stories of how important the CE platform, in our case BGM, to make sure that the project is impactful. You see, every component of the project has their own experts in it, and each of the experts play their role in contributing or solving each of the problem. And the problem is just, or the issue here is, it's just not, finishing halfway. It's what we call our circular economy. It's we close the loop. We start at the very beginning until we market it. At a glance, you might see it's like, oh, it's just producing product again, selling it. Yes, true, because we want something that tangible. We want something that measurable. But it also can be done with some other field, we will look into that. So the ultimate, goal here is not only we improve the way of their processing or organizing or managing their farm, we also want to improve their product and give value, provide added value to their product. So, for example, this farmers, he planted roselle, and previously what they did is just like the juice, roselle juice in the market. And at one time, I'm pretty sure all of us know that roselle juice has been very famous, to the point that almost every single shelf and every company, has juice. So if these farmers come up with that, what makes them different than the other roselle producer? So on top of whatever they're doing, so the innovation from one of our experts in technology industry school, she suggested that they do roselle tea leaf, meaning that the leaf doesn't go wasted. We repurpose the leaves. So they're making money from that. And from the roselle itself, rather than making just juice, they improvised it, make it sambal hitam. That usually they use belimbing. That is really sour. But with this sambal hitam roselle, it tastes a bit different. It's still unique, flavorful, delicious, but it is unique. So it creates another market, another niche in the market. So these are the things that we are looking into, making impact to the society. And the management look into, how to market, and BGIM also play huge roles in it. And the next slide is about the self-initiative. As I said before, as I mentioned, Stingless Bee has their own web page, and Dr. Hakimi has his own web page, K2K, which is now with Dr. Anwar in TI. So this required a lot of commitment, but they have heart to it. They have, soul for it. They reach the society by telling the society, this is what we do. This is, what we can contribute, or come and share the information, with us, because we are giving away this information to improve the society, to make, the society better, the environment better. So these are the things that, what you can do. So, but you will require extra, time, energy to do this. Another thing is on the Instagram. Mustafa has Instagram. I like to use Instagram because I don't have to maintain that much. What I can do is just hashtag and then share whatever things. Okay. So this is very good platform, because on the Instagram, the real people with all the TikToks nowadays, people look into it. With young generation nowadays, if you want to get them involved, it has to look interactive, because that's another thing that we can get involved with younger generation, which is provide us with a huge opportunity to contribute to the society. The beauty with Instagram, with the hashtag, is people around the world can actually just share on the same platform, on the same thing, without any issue. Whereas your own Facebook, sometimes you can share public, but you have to maintain it all the time. Another one is Twitter. Twitter is a good platform that you can actually see how the scientists around the world and the industry and the community get together in one platform, and they make it official or formal. Like hashtags, sustainable aquaculture, you can see a lot of organization, from around the world will, publish, will post it on all the activity related the aquaculture, and can share all this information. And same goes with BSF Larvae, because I'm working with sustainable aquafeed using sustainable ingredients. So people are sharing from around the world, from the developed country, from developing country, and the society looking into that. They look into that and they extract information. So this is one of the way to reach the community, or the community can reach you. Again, there are so many fields that you can do this. Yeah, to get involved, this is the work. We have to be with the society. Like Dr. Zul was sharing some of his opinion on farmers. All right, and on the other picture is Encik Rahmat. He was working with Orang Asal before, and now he's with Pekeso. He works for the society very closely. He has contributed, impact a huge contribution to the Orang Asal. So, this is very selfless work. And that's me with breeding catfish, and it's a lot more activity that involving hands-on visiting site, and then a lot more activity, but we have to get involved. And the other one is Dr. Hakimi's place, when they improve certain places, showing the community how to set up composting. They get involved, show hands-on. You might have manual, like Dr. Zul has his own manual, but we need to get involved. That's really, what we call soul of it, like how we can get the community feel comfortable with us. Now, earlier at the very beginning of my talk, I already mentioned to you that what can you actually do, or what can actually you solve? Let's say we start with something, what can we solve? Meaning that there is a problem, there is a demand. So in community engagement, the engagement can start when it has demand. We call demand driven, meaning that the society needs something. So they approach the university that we have this issue, and can you provide solution for us? So like I give two examples here, successful stories of BGIM USM. First, from the small scale industry, which is community coconut jelly dealer care. So they are producing jelly, but the jelly can't last that long. So they approach USM, how to make it, that their jelly last longer and things like that. So with all the USM experts help them to produce a longer shelf life jelly, and then USM get, pharma get involved, so that all the jelly can be marketed at all, places. So in this case, the community is the entrepreneur. So what happened at the end of the project, the farmer, the entrepreneur actually managed to not double up, multiply the productions, and he's making good money out of it. Now, he's continued to improve his production. The continuity of the work doesn't mean they have to continue with USM. They can just continue with, with other institutions, as long as we initiate that, the improvement, and they continue to grow. So it's a very impactful project. Another demand is from NCIA. So this is the body or the agency that approached USM to have that, to help the catfish production in Padu. So with all the experts that we discussed, so the project, the farmers managed to get the drying technology to dry the fish, not only using the sunlight without shelter, but now using solar technology and so on and so forth. And they improved their packaging, and their product has been marketed overseas. Another one is value driven. This is the one that I said, when you have something to offer. So Dr. Zul is one of the person that have that value from his research to offer to the society. So he can go to, what he does, he actually approach the community, or the community can also approach him with value that he's offering, with all the system, with all the modules. He offer how to farm the bees and how to collect the honey. And he has many. This is one of the community, which is Kubu Gajah, but he has now many thousands of farmers that he already trained to produce good quality honey. And he works with numbers of agencies that, contribute to the project. And the farmers who get involved with the project, received or gain income, either is additional or it's, sold income, but it is good income. And the community start to grow. So these are the things: demand driven and value driven community engagement. There's another situation where when we call value demand driven. What is value demand driven? Value demand driven is when the institution and the government work together to improve the society or to solve certain issue within the society. So that's what we call value demand driven. Because the value comes from the university, the demand comes from the institution. So this is what happened when, like earlier, the one that I shared with you about this Roselle, the NCIA know that USM has this expertise, and USM also aware of the NCIA rules. So they work together to improve the condition at the farms and the production of Roselle. So this one we call value demand driven, when these two institutions and the government agency work together, to solve certain issues. So what we need to understand is, if it's come from the society or if it's come just from the institution, we call demand. If it's the one that we are the one offering, that's we call value. Whenever that institution joins together with the government or the institution to help the society, we call value demand driven. So how are we making it effective? Right? If you can see here on the slides, these are the components in community engagement. It's very unlikely for us to work on our own. Because to make it impactful, we have to synergize, we have to integrate all the stakeholders, because otherwise it won't be impactful, or it can be like community service. The effective governance of community engagement involves the institution, the government agency, the community, so that we can run the project, we can create the project, to make it a viable project. When you say viable, it's just not the one who involved, but it also involved on the capital, on the resource, everything. So whether it's practical to do the job. If the project is very good, but in sense of, financial is limited, it might be very difficult. Or even we have enough financial, but we have issue in implementing the project, that also not viable. And we know that it's very important that to look into what we can offer, what we can actually, provide. So these are the things that we need to look as effective governance, to make sure that whenever that we have the project, we choose the right person to respond. For example, if the project required something about like improving fish feeding, or fish nutrition, aquaculture, or something about animal related nutrition, I could be the person who helped it. However, if someone's come to me to run project on plantation, I think it's not very, practical. So it's very important to pick the right person to solve certain issue. The innovations and the experts must be tally. So these are the things in order to make the project successful and effective from the beginning until the end of the project. The component of project manager in community engagement is all depends. For small, you don't really need a project manager, meaning that the researcher themselves are the manager. But with a bigger project managers play roles in making it, run smoothly. Like what BGIM doing, they are the managers of each of the project. Each of the staff at BGIM, they have their own project they are managing at the moment. So it reduces the burden or the work on the researcher itself. So, because management work is really tedious and, a lot of things and a lot of, effort get involved. So these are the components making effective governance and to make sure the project impactful. All right, let's look into one of these example. Okay, this is one of the project that BGIM has, the Belacan Productions. The problem that the farmers or the operators give it to USM is they have issue in handling, in processing and packaging. All right, we know that belacan is quite essential for a lot of our cooking, and most importantly, it's often run by small scale farmers or small scale businesses, using our local produce and things like that. So with this type of issue, often the product can't go very far, and a lot of issue with food processing, in sense of hygiene, safety, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the problem with the belacan productions. So looking at that, when we put it in a visual thinking perspective, so we look at how they process it because of their lack of skills. And then they use very conventional technology. So that's in part of the handling. Okay. And when it comes to drying process, they use whatever chip as long as it serves the purpose, regardless the safety, the hygiene matters, and so on and so forth. And for the storage and packaging, there's none. As simple as we can sell it to make money. So to improve that, USM provide them with the solution, the innovation involved by each of the problem. What actually viable or feasible for the operators to implement. So if there are lacks of the skills, we get involved people in, food processing industry and research at university to develop the SOP, how to process in hygiene matters and, appropriate way. And then the second one is they need some technology. So, we come with the cheapest technology to help them in pounding and process the belacan itself, to dry it up, So we we help them with drying technology. And same goes with packaging and labeling and, certification. So these are the things we listened, we observed, we understand, and we analyze how this situation, how can we improve this? So this is how it looks like. And who get involved? Many stakeholders. So these are the things that when we want to help the community, it's not like in here, yes, ESM logo is there, but there are so many people get involved under one umbrella. Yeah. All right.
Ada keluar?
Ya, ada.
Okay, jadi buat masa sekarang yang dah respon Puan Sumiah Sabah. Ada di dalam Puan Sumiah?
Ada.
Okay, baik.
Okay, alright.
Jadi bidang kepakaran wastewater and wastewater treatment. Jadi isu yang ingin diselesaikan how to
engage.
engage and approach with the community and the industry. Dan suka dia adalah do not know who need my expertise.
Cool. Bidang water and wastewater treatment adalah bidang yang sangat diperlukan pada hari ini. Sangat diperlukan. Either in research or with the community. Saya tak pasti macam mana Dr. Sumayah Sumiah. Tapi dia macam ni. One of the way is looking the opportunity. Probably like engage with dengan BG, one of the way to do it, because a lot of industries sekarang ini isu dia ialah mereka nak mengurangkan atau what we call take advantage of the wastewater. Wastewater, the one that we can get, yang we have probably daripada poultry, farming, agriculture. So if something that if kalau kita boleh make it, you know, contohlah saya bagi secara ringkas, like macam how aquaponic in aquaculture, it is still wastewater, tapi ada approach untuk nutrient uptake daripada air aquaculture kepada tanaman tumbuhan. So same with wastewater management. Our society need that. Our society need to know, or how to say it, cumanya saya rasa dalam situasi sekarang mereka pun tak tahu nak approach siapa. Mungkin BG boleh take notes about this kepakaran, so that you know, in future kita boleh tally dengan, you know, treating wastewater, especially in what we call production, whether it's food productions or activity in pertanian or industry. I think that will be good as well. And wastewater treatment can also transform. Saya suka konsep yang macam Prof Hakimi buat, compost to kelulut and waste to wealth. You know, how making like BSF, treating sampah kepada BSF larvae that very expensive. So same can be done with water, because water supply nowadays become issue. It's just that our society does not aware how severe the issue is. So one thing that we can actually do, probably like, you know, engaging among the researchers on how we can do this to get involved. Another issue that often people ask is how about the you know, bidang that not tangible, like education, sociology, humanity. All those things also can be as part of community engagement. So alright, so ini yang kira seorang je yang respon, Hamzah.
Buat masa ni seorang ada tu.
Thank you,
It's
Dr.
alright.
Khalidah.
Sama-sama.
Can I add?
Yeah?
Can I add?
Yeah, sure. Who's speaking?
Sorry.
Oh, Tuan Syed, sorry. Tak tahu. Yeah, Tuan Syed,
Okay.
you can.
Thank you, Dr. Khalidah, for a very enlightening presentation. Okay, Dr. Sumiah kan tadi. I
Yes,
think the other way is to apply for our grant. Okay, so when you apply for our grant, so that means you in a way have already macam register yourself dengan BG. So we are actually providing an incubation untuk, you know, whatever you are doing. Okay, so through this kita will build some sort like orang kata a directory of expertise, okay, yang register with BGIM, and this will be, you know, kita once we nurture the thing, then we move on from grant BGIM, kita move on to MRAN, ataupun kita move on to translational punya grant. Okay, so this is how we position and we promote okay, we position and we promote our researchers, alright, dalam projek-projek yang kita laksanakan. Okay, so I think this is a way where we can, link you. BGIM will try to link you as much as possible dengan the outside world. Okay, the community as well as those yang in need of this one. Alright, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will try.
Terima kasih Tuan Said. Yes, I'm one of the receiver for those grants, and as I said, that's why I cannot thank BGIM enough for providing me the path. And in addition to that, I also get help from the KTC before. On that time was Pengarah Prof Hazlan. And yes, through BGIM's project and program, I get involved with the community, and it creates step by step for me to reach the community. And we have one question in the dalam chat box from Dr. ID. Dr. ID says, like what we should, in your opinion, to start with, must the community engagement start with our project area or research? Could it be outside our expertise and more of our passion? Thank you. Thanks, Dr. ID. To be honest, this is one of the experience. Probably Dr. ID forget, but I never forget. Dr. ID and his wife actually, when they came back from United States, if I'm not mistaken, a long time ago, they started community engagement already. And I was one of the person who actually learned from them. So probably they forgot about it, or but it can start with passion, Dr. ID. One of the person who actually did that was Dr. Zul Mustafa. He has passion for the stingless bee, and his expertise is on neurology. So that is his passion. So you can start with your passion, as long as I think you build a profile of it. And I think Dr. Zul has set a very high benchmark for it, that where his passion is beyond, like, how to say it, people cannot discredit that he is stingless bee expert, although he is a neurologist. So in my opinion, yes, you can, as long as you can actually see how much contribution that you can make to the society. For instance, like if you feel passion in improving the society in sense of education or building the society, it has to come, if it's intangible, it has probably need to come in sense of documentation module, and how many people that you train, and what kind of improvement that they made. And from that group of people that you train, how many of them actually train another community? For example, like school kids. If you train school kids, when they actually improve or things like that, how much peers that they actually help. So these type of things can turn into tangible from the intangible. I hope I answer your question, Dr. ID. All right.
Ada soalan lain?
Any other question?
Okay, kita ada responden yang kedua je saya kongsi.
Okay.
Okay, yang kedua. Okay.
This is wastewater treatment again?
Bukan.
Bukan.
Nak tengok. Okay.
Aquaculture ketam nipah. Oh, that's very interesting.
Muhammad Adib Fadil. Bidang aquaculture nipah, isu yang ingin diselesaikan.
Sebenarnya hutan paya bakau di bawah kerajaan, betul. Bagaimana kita nak usahakan paya bakau bersama komuniti? Okey, terima kasih kepada yang bertanya, Dr. Adib. Okey. Yes, betul. Hutan paya bakau di bawah kerajaan. Kalau untuk berusaha sama dengan kerajaan, first kali to get engaged ialah dengan Jabatan Perikanan. So it's very important to get engaged with the agency. Sebab macam aquaculture, things that saya buat, I realized that I need to get in touch with the organization. Yes, with the community is good, but get in touch with the government agency or the organization, whether it's pertubuhan or it is the fisheries department. Like for instance, to culture ketam nipah, you can get approached with Fisheries Research Institute. You can approach with Fisheries Department, because in Fisheries Department, they have a list of the aquacultures, whether it's brackish water, marine or freshwater. So if you really have that kind of expertise, because I can tell you right here, right now, pengusaha ketam nipah having a lot of issue, starting from breeding the ketam, getting a sustainable seed supply, and also how to culture them with minimal operational costs. A lot of issue in ketam nipah, and in fact it has high demand in the society. And if I'm not mistaken, the price of small anak ketam is now reaching RM5 per anak ikan. So it's very expensive. And at one time, it was very popular. And I think before COVID, Chinese restaurant using a lot of this product for their dishes and cuisines. But even now, thinking of, you thought that COVID actually slows down the productions of this mud crab, but it's actually no. The demand is continue, and the farmers are looking forward, how to get better seeds and so on and so forth. So if you want to get involved with the community, go straight to the department. We have Fisheries Research Institute in Penang, Batu Maung. You can actually call them, or get in touch with them, or probably you can talk to me later on. We can have chat, and I can actually pass a few numbers for you to have a look, like how you want to get involved. And also I think BGIM also has one mud crab farmers that working now, and I think I can help on that to get involved with the farmers and see how you can work with them. So that's my answer to that. Any
Tadi ada soalan tambahan? Simpan sekejap. Ada. Tak ada. Simpan.
All right, cool. So I think let's move on to our yes, sure, Dr. Adib, you can. You can get my contact from BJ and from Hamzah later on. It's fine. Yeah, I'm looking forward that too. And yeah, and also I think among the participants here, I think Dr. Annette Jayaram is also one of the person that we can collaborate on it, because Dr. Annette, the one that working in mud crab before. So yeah, we definitely can have a chat. And all right, so the next thing that we're going to do is a little bit on practice. I know this can be a bit tricky because we are doing online, and even when we are doing physical, workshop, we do have some issue, but I try my best to share this part, because this is the part that actually I learned a lot. How to make community engagement. And to be honest, the whole thing that with the activity that I'm doing, also I learned a lot from other lecturers, other researcher, from Dr. Zulkul, of course, and then Dr. Anwar Arshad, and then Dr. Anwar Kamaruddin. So and with other lecturers, Dr. Hafiz, and all the team that working with this, and it's actually improved my understanding on how we do community engagement. So let me share the next slide. Hang on, give me a second. I just want to make sure. No. Okay, I'm going to share the next slide. Okay. I think the participant may not have this form, but I think, I don't know, probably Bijim can work something about it. This is the activity that we always do during the workshop for the community engagement, university community engagement. So we always give a scenario to the participant, like for instance, like how are we going to initiate our work? How are we going to identify? So often the activity, this is not really how we do, but this is sort of like guiding us to, you know, to start our project. Okay. So for instance, we give a task for the participant to look at it and then to work on it. Okay, so there are three things that the participant needs to do. Remember that I said the first thing that we need to identify is our SDG, and then the theme, which is the field that we want to contribute and what type of the project. Okay, so often it comes with the problem statement. Okay, for instance, like these ones, I think I'm not sure if the participant can see this or no. So let's say we have a situation like this one is you know, tanaman lada kakao in Sarawak. So they have certain issues and they come in, so we need to propose a title. Often a title is the very last thing that I put in, because you know the title of the project required a lot of fine-tuning and things like that. But at least if you know what you want to help, that's the key of, you know, giving the name of your title. All right, I would say look into the SDG, because by looking into the SDG, it will, you know, start to narrow down your field. It will narrow down your you know, your focus. You start to get focused. So in what aspect that you want to help, and then you want to actually look into whether is this a demand from the society, or is it the one that's something that they don't have anything, but you know, you are the one see the opportunity, you want to offer it. So that's one of the situation. Or it can be value demand driven. So that's sort of like how I built my work. And then visual thinking. So although in this type of form, you see it's like very, you know, not very basic structure, but I like to put it in a diagram, in the graphic, so that we could actually see how it works. All right, so these are the tables that actually will guide us to build our proposal, to build our activity, the program. So it has the levels and it has component. So we work based on this for BGIM and for those who get involved with the community engagement. All right. So just to oh, sorry. Try to move this aside. Okay. So on the table, of course, we're gonna have all four stakeholders. We have community, we have the project, the one that we want to actually run, and then we have the community that we want to get involved, government agencies and industry, and of course the institution. And the level is we are looking into the activities, opportunity, and whether it's the purpose. Actually, demand and value is one whole cell, and prime movers, who actually the stakeholder, and the resources. So these are the key elements or the levels that get involved in the activity. So by looking at the three drivers of the engagement that I said before, whether it's demand driven, value driven, or value demand driven, so we actually look into this row. I'm not sure you can see it here, where it's demand and value driven. So you know. So we look into that, and each of those cells must be filled in, because as I said, community engagement is a dynamic relationship. It's integrate all the stakeholders in a very synergetic ways. So there's no way any of this column must be left empty or vacant. All right. I think Abhijit probably will share you this cell, this PowerPoint, so that you can actually use this as a guide for perhaps next project, or perhaps you can use in any community work that you feel like you want to do. For example, let's start with you know, the table. If you can follow me a little bit, I know it's very difficult. Let's say for a demand driven. All right, if it's a demand driven, we know it should come from community or the government agency. So what we want to put here is what actually they ask for. Okay, and then we start to fill in all these things. Okay, and if it's the institution, we write down what are the value. Under the value, what the innovation or the skills or the service that we can provide with the to the community or to the society that need. The rest is, you know, you want to identify who are actually that can help you out, and you know what type of resource that you can get from all the stakeholders. Okay, I think seeing this a bit difficult. Let's move on with the exercise. All right, so we start with what actually drives the engagement. So if it's value, then it has to come from the institution. So we state what values. I like to use Kelulut as one of these example, and also another Dr. Zul from Kubangkuyan is about the wheelchair. They have the value, they have the output, the innovation that they want to share. So they approach the government agency with the value. All right, this is something that we can contribute. The word I use approach doesn't mean that they go and find them, but you know, their innovation reach the community. And then the institution or the government agency start to identify the community. So okay, this is the community that need this type of activity. So like, let's say Dr. Zul Kelulut, he, you know, the government agency identified the community that would like to run the stingless bee farming, and then they create the project. However, if we are looking into, if Dr. Zul Kelulut also has a situation where the government approached him to run the project, so the number between 2 and 1 interchange. It all depends who actually or initiates the program, the engagement. So this is all the examples, who actually, what actually be in the cells and what we can do and who get involved. For examples that you can see here, the value driven, okay. This is, I think, OKU cases. All right, so how we want to empower employability of the OKU. So solve issue number 15. This is the Sustainable Development Goals number 15, if I'm not mistaken. And then look at the prime mover, who actually in the institutions that actually work, and in each of the column, which is the stakeholder, has their own prime movers. Okay, and the resource, what type of things that, you know, they can contribute. The resource here can be varies. Resource can come in form of monetary. Resource can come in sense in labor, commitment. I always emphasize this dearly among my community. I said that the first thing that I want them to know is commitment. If they can't commit, I have to be frank, I cannot engage with them, because without the commitment, the project become community service. And then resource also can come in form of in kind. Like, for example, if we want to do certain things, they can't provide us with money, but they can provide us with funds, with the facilities, you know, that can actually help the project. Yes. Or resources can also come in sense of services. Let's say if we want to get the community to do certain work, they say it's like, okay, and we have some industry want to tap in, they say we cannot give money, but we can provide you the service by analyzing your samples, for instance. So that's also resources. All right. So I think the rest of the level, the opportunity or the activity is all what we do or what the community do or the institutions will do. So what related to their roles, that's the activity. And the opportunity, because this opportunity is needed on the paper because we want to know the impact. Like for the project, what opportunity that we are looking at. For the community, why and what kind of opportunity that we want to give to the community. And for government agency and the institutions, of course, it's very typical, you know, KPI that we want to achieve and so on and so forth. But all these things, that the key for this table that I hope that I can share with all of you here is first, what drives the engagement? All right. And then we start with that. And then after that, we start with who are the prime mover. So in each of the column, we can look into who are the prime mover. Okay. And then what type of resource that they can contribute. Something that I want to share with everyone here is might sounds a bit unpleasant, but this is from my experience. When I say about commitment, it's very important to make it very clear at the very first meeting. This is something that you should be okay with, all right? I make it very clear to the community that they have to give full commitment, because I've been through experience where people think that we give money for them and we ought to give the money without them doing any contribution, because they thought that this is government money and then we need to help them. Whereas community engagement is a mutual relationship. It's reciprocate, you know, we want to help them up and they have to help themselves as well. So there's no such thing as we just give it to them and then we do everything for them and they're not doing anything. So they have to give that commitment. If they, like for instance, if they need to work like every day for 4 hours to do certain things, to make sure that certain, you know, culture works or certain plant grow, or if they need to, you know, do certain things, they have to do it. It's not about us to go and do everything and then take care of everything and they just harvest the crops later on. Same with other activities. So this is the thing that I make it very clear in a subtle way to the community. When we work with engagement things, both parties or all the stakeholders must play their roles. And I feel comfortable with that. So otherwise, I believe that there are other community that willingly to give full commitment to work with. So that's things. So with that, thank you very much. Perhaps we could have a bit more discussion, I think, rather than listening to me talking. Okay, there's some other question. Okay, untuk case study saya ada berapa case kalau doktor perlukan? Well, I don't look as case study because this is community. Put it this way, the community, as I said, if you want to know the numbers, Jabatan Perikanan will have the numbers. Often the communities like this, the community like farmers, they come one by one. But if you want to have impact, we will have to go to Jabatan Perikanan. One thing about Perikanan, or the aquaculture industry or the fisheries industry, put it this way, they are not willing to share. I hope that you, all the participants here, don't have to go through some of my bad experience working with the community, because some of them is their income. Periuk nasi, you see, they don't want to share, they don't want to trade their secrets with you, because everything gets, confidential. So if you go approach one by one, it may not be workable because they don't trust you. The trust isn't there in the first place. So as I said before, to build the trust, we have to communicate, we have to integrate, interact, we have to get involved, then only they will share to get the trust. So one of the way to make it impactful, or by approaching the government agencies. So the agency will have the what we call the way to make you engage with the community. So that's, I can say, with the aquaculture and fisheries department. And to be honest, fisheries department more than happy to collaborate, to get engaged with the institution, because they have their own KPI as well. They are working closely with the farmers. It's just that, we can't expect them to come to us. We have to sort of like communicate. So I think if you're really interested to work with that, one thing you can start with, apply for BGIM grant. And in that grant, you need to identify the community. So that's probably the best. The good thing is you need to start get involved, get in touch with Jabatan Perikanan. So I think that will be one of the way to start with mud crab culture community engagement. All right, I hope that I answer your question, Dr. Adib. And we have another one, Dr. Zul, on the occupational therapy and disability. Membantu mengusahakan KOKU meningkatkan pasaran dan produktiviti, potensi kerjasama. For this is what I say is both tangible and intangible, and I think BGIM has a very good team with it. So Dr. Zurahim, I think you are on the right platform, you are on the right session. Probably Hamzah and the team can actually give some ideas, because as I said, this is the importance of the platform. They know who's working with who, so they can match. So that's why I said that if the participants here has something to offer, probably like it's good for you to share with BGIM now, because I can tell you they're very good in writing grant and making a lot of money by connecting the researchers. So but if they do not know where we are and who we are, they can't reach us. So I think that's my personal opinion. Tuan Syed, tak apa ke saya beritahu macam tu? So I'm not sure Tuan Syed ada ke tak, but yeah. So I hope that if you do have something that you want to share, you can actually see that. And then I think Hamzah is there to actually assist us. So I do really encourage everyone here to contribute to the community and the society, because this is even more important time or vital or crucial time for us to contribute back to the community, because with all the pandemic hitting hard to the bottom, I mean, like the community is suffering in so many ways. I think at this point of view, this situation, I can see what we can contribute more for those who are in psychology, in social development, in technology, all the how to integrate, because nowadays I give you a scenario what happening in aquaculture and agriculture industry. The primary industry continue to produce. The demand from the society, from the market is there, but missing huge gap in connecting the primary industry and the market. So most of the time, whether it's fish, whether it's vegetables, like, ruin where it been cultured or been planted. So because the strategy is changing, we can't market the produce or the product by what we call conventional way, where we have middlemen coming to the farms, taking up the products and selling it to supermarket and so on and so forth. Because in this current situation, we need the technology. For those who has the technology, we need kind of platform to sell the product, to get engaged with the farmers. I'm pretty sure you guys heard about how pengusaha chili having issues marketing their products because they said the competition with the importers selling cheaper produce into the market and making all these chili in the market, are more from imported items rather than locally produced. But if we be able to supply direct from the farmers to the consumers using the technology platform, I think it will solve those issues. That's one of the situation. Same goes with education. A lot of opportunity. If we look into this current situation, and as long as you have hard to work with it, I think the opportunity will come in so many ways. For me, as I said, that in this current situation, aquaculture has huge issue because of raw materials. We are not huge producer, and the feed is affecting our farmers. And the chain reaction of it is some of the farmers, whether they give up and the poverty probably increase, or what happened is some of the farmers continue to produce, but with higher price of products, and will affect the society as well. So if we look into the social issue, we could actually identify where we can fit in. And again, we can't do things on our own. It has to be like, working with others too. So that's from me. So yeah, I'm welcoming any other questions from participants or something that you can share. Like, I don't have, issue with that. If you have, I'm pretty sure you have more experience than me. Feel free to share. We have time, yeah, Hamza?
Yes, saya ada time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ada soalan daripada Muhammad Amirul Haizat. Okey, doktor, andai kata pada permulaan program peserta sangat committed tetapi bermasalah pada pertengahan projek, macam mana kita nak cope dengan permasalahan ini? Terima kasih Haizat. Saya melalui fasa ini juga. Macam saya katalah, kesilapan saya pada mula-mula saya get involved dengan community engagement. Saya takut untuk menyatakan ataupun untuk menegaskan kepada komuniti bahawa ini prinsip kita. Tapi sebenarnya agak penting untuk kita nyatakan kepada peserta, kepada komuniti bahawa ini yang kita perlukan. Dan kita perlu sama-sama bersama dengan komuniti. Tapi ada kalanya memang contohnya dalam situasi kalau macam kes sekarang ni, kes COVID ni memang banyak yang terjejas lah. Itu saya tak nafikan. Tetapi kalau dia melibatkan motivasi dan seterusnya, ia agak mengecewakan lah. Tetapi kita nak cope tu, there are so many factors or so many part, whether we want to cope emotionally or we want to cope with the grand progress, because we have to report. We have to ready that our report doesn't look good. And then we have to tell that this is the issue. And often BGIM will guide us. Okay, perhaps this is something that we can do. All right. Some may not have experience like that, but I've been through that where I have to change the community due to so many reasons, so it happens. This is a very unpleasant experience, but it gives me, courage to actually stand up to say that when we want to initiate the community engagement, we have to be very clear. As I said, there are communities that are very serious to improve their socio-economic status, they want to improve their income and their system. So I think if we can make it very clear at very beginning, I think we can avoid of having issue in the middle of the way. I can tell you, I've asked a lot of people who get involved with community engagement during their early engagement with the community, almost 80% experience that. Yeah, issue with community tiba-tiba berputus asa. It's difficult because there are many reasons for that, but you also will get very satisfied when you have community that continue no matter hard things are until they successfully complete the project. So I guess I have two situations and I channel my heart to, it's all right, I work with people who want to improve themselves. It gives that satisfaction. I hope I answer your question, Aizat. So I think that's my sharing session.
Okay, ada soalan?
Oh, okay. Berapakah bilangan peserta yang minimum bagi memulakan sesuatu projek bagi memastikan impak yang dicapai munasabah? Interesting. To be honest, this is from my experience and from my mistakes that I've done. Saya bila saya buat projek, saya juga melakukan kesilapan. Bukan kata saya buat dan terus buat dengan cemerlang dan jayanya. A lot of hiccups and stumbles here and there. Tetapi saya ambil contoh projek yang Bijim Berjaya, 30 orang ke atas is a good number, is very efficient number, tapi tak semua projek boleh dapat 30 ke atas. Akan tetapi 30 orang ke atas itu boleh dicapai dengan melalui bengkel atau seminar, dan seminar itu kita lakukan secara berkala. Contoh macam dalam projek aquaculture, saya tak boleh nak buat sampai 30 kelompok kalau grant yang dapat tu sedikit, sebab aquaculture perlukan a lot of money to develop and to improve. But what I can help the community is saya buat bengkel target untuk dapat 30 orang peserta ataupun 30 orang kumulatif. So maksudnya satu sesi bengkel tu mungkin yang attend 10 orang. Yang kedua mungkin orang yang sama tak berminat, yang datang tu 20 orang, 5 orang. So cumulatively towards the end of it, there are 30 people who benefits from the program. Betul tak, Hamzah? Something like that. So and another things that really inspired me, contoh macam I've seen, because the huge number already been done. As I said, Dr. Zul Mustafa has already proved. He has 100 people in one session during Kelulut sharing session. Betul tak, Hamzah? If I'm not mistaken, ada one seminar and from A to Z on sharing bengkel Kelulut. So that's achievable. So I think that's the number that we need to, but you have to understand the numbers must be practical. I think for education, easily done, because when you have something with education, you train the student or the teachers, training, bengkel, module, you can reach up to 50 to 100 easily. But some of the macam aquaculture, macam saya katalah, macam contoh, if it's mud crab farming, even very small niche, to get 5 can be very difficult. So those type of things, we need to look into our field. After completion of a project, how do you bring the empowered participant to help you in the following projects? It can be many. As I said, if I can see I get involved with the school kids volunteering work before. I don't see how community engagement can be done in education, but after doing that for almost 10 years before COVID hit, I start seeing, let's say in education, the student that we trained, the first, second and third batch, before coming back to the school to train their juniors. So that kind of, empowerment that we are looking at. The same people that we train now contributing back to the community. to the same environment, because they've seen that our activity, let's say I give you the example, this project being actually done by my friend in School of Mathematics and Physics. They have English program with one of the school in Kedah, and they've been training students for years, for like a few years, and the next following years, the one that come back, train the students were the ex-student, the alumni from the school. Because for those that we train, managed to get to the universities, to get good job, to have better communication, English communication. So they see how beneficial the program is to the students. So they start coming back. So this is the mechanism, something that Dr. ID can have a look into. Probably like, look into whoever the participant that understand or willing to be part of the project and start to contribute that. So the sustainability element is very important. I've mentioned it before. So and I think BGIM has been really good in emphasizing that, because as I said, community engagement is not community service. So that's my opinion on it. It's not very easy to do it, I can tell you right here, right now, but with good support. I always believe in good support. I believe in good environment, and not that I'm promoting BGIM, but to be honest, I grew up so much. I learned so much from this ecosystem, how supportive the environment is. So it builds, how to say, it made me grow in a way as well.
Jadi saya harap perkongsian kita pada hari ini bermanfaatlah untuk semua. Saya memohon maaflah sekiranya ada sebarang kekurangan sepanjang pelaksanaan perkongsian kita pada hari ini. Jadi terima kasih banyak-banyak semua. Saya sangat menghargai.
Terima kasih semua.
Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih.
Okay, baik.
Terima kasih Dr. Khalidah.
Ya,
Terima kasih sebab sudi hadir. Oh, ada yang buka apa tu kamera. Yay.
Ya,
Terima kasih doktor.
ya, terima kasih.
Terima kasih, very interesting.
Thank you.
Kongsian terbaik doktor. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih Doktor. Kongsian yang terbaik.
Betul.